Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday night leadership webinar. We're excited again to have some new information from Mr. Walt Lusk, President and CEO of Wealth Strategies Leadership Group, and he is going to go over the fundamentals of making an illustration and some of the nuts and bolts about how and why to do all of that. So without further ado, Mr. Walt Lusk.
Well, good evening, everybody, and greetings and salutations. Thank you, Craig. Tonight, I've talked to many folks about how to do a presentation in terms of creating a illustration, and we're going to do that today pretty much from soup to nuts through American National's website, and we're also going to go through our own website on how to figure out what the future tuition would be in a situation. Now, the real cool thing about this is, and what I'm really liking about what our system and how we're doing this is, I'm one to really over-prepare, and I come up with a file folder with illustrations and quotes and stories and stuff. You don't need to prepare because you don't have any idea what the client's going to want, what the premium is going to be, or even what the tuition is going to be, which of course is all based on. So it minimizes our preparation time and then maximizes our time in front of the client. So again, we're going to do the soup to nuts, steps on how to present American National during a college funding appointment, and of course we're going to create the premium as well. So the next slide is our infamous quote, and I want to start that with Jeff Bezos, who is the richest guy in the world supposedly, was asked a little while ago, what is his secret to becoming a billionaire and what is the secret to success? And actually his answer was really interesting. It was one word: focus. He admits he's not a very good multitasker, and he focuses on one thing at a time, and when he's finished with that, he goes to the next. So along those lines, what are you guys focusing on? Because there is a Russian proverb that says, if you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one. And the Chinese proverb is, if you catch two rabbits, you will catch no rabbit. So take your pick if you want Chinese or Russian. So we're asking you to take the big rabbit and work with us. So when you sit down with a client, and of course after some rapport and such, you want to ask the client what college they plan to send their child to. And you got to have an answer because that's how we're starting with. Even if they don't have one, get them to commit to one. Because at that point, we're going to your favorite search engine, Google Works, to find out what the current tuition is of that particular institution of higher learning is right now. And once you determine that, then we've got something to work on, and it's in terms of the current tuition. So once that's learned, then we're going to go to our website, WSLGonline.com, and you're going to log in. On the left-hand side, you're going to go to calculators, and under that is the college cost inflation calculator, and we're going to show you a picture in a second. And what you're going to simply input is the child's name, first name is usually enough, the year they were born, and what the annual cost of that college is today. And then the top right, and you go to the next slide, is you hit preview, and this is what you see. So you see there's the name of the child. I've put college child. In this instance, the child was born in 2011, so they're 7 years old. So they've got 11 years till they're 18 when they're going to start college. And they're going to be in college for 4 years. Now, we assume that the inflation rate of the college tuition is 4%. And we all know it's higher than that, but there comes a point where it just gets too big of a mountain to climb, and it gets too overwhelming. And so we want to make sure it's at least realistic. And, of course, we're only dealing with tuition. We aren't dealing with books and room and board and all the other aspects that go along with it. We're just talking about how to get the kid in college, because in some instances, they're going to go to college, they're going to live at home. So they really don't need room and board and whatnot. And so in this instance, the current tuition I selected was $20,000. So they're going to a higher than average, about an average public school, maybe a little private. And at 4% in 11 years, the tuition is $30,789 a year. Or if you add that multiply that by 4, add it for 4 years, that's $123,154. So our goal here in terms of tuition to figure out is $30,789. If, for example, they put it in the bank and they were able and very fortunate enough to put it in and earn all of 2% per year, then they would need to put in $10,121 and they would only earn $111,000 in there. So they'd be short, right? So on the next screen, once we have that value, that 30,789, we're going to log into American National website. And the site is https://access.anaco for American National Insurance Company.com. So it's https access.anaco.com. And once you've logged in, then you're going to go, and it's very easy to find, Expert Office. And then once you click that, on the left-hand side, you're going to go to the Expert Illustrator. And you have to illustrate this online. You can't do it on your computer. I've tried. And then what we're going to do is, and I'm going to show you a screenshot in a second of the next one, is we're going to create a client. Now, we are going to do this on the parent. And the reason is several-fold. First, the death benefit on the parent is less, as you can imagine, than the child. And from an underwriting perspective, if you've got a 11-year-old with this $1 million+ policy, it just gets a little goofy. And with all the benefits that American National offers, again, we're talking about terminal illness, which is standard. If they have 12 or 24 months to live, they get the death benefit. If they have a chronic illness, and last week we talked about chronic illness, if they are unable to do 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, then the death benefit on a tax-free basis is available for them right now. And if you remember, seniors, 65 and above, 95% of them have at least 1 chronic illness right now, and 77% have 2. So this benefit is a free benefit, and it is a huge benefit. And then, of course, we have critical illness. And depending upon your state, it pays between 13 and 16 different critical illnesses. And then lastly, of course, we have the death benefit. If something happens in any of these instances, then, of course, the plan is self-completing no matter how much they've put in or how long they've put it in. So once you put in those criteria, then on the top right, you're going to hit Action, and you're going to create a new illustration. And we've already selected Signature IUL as our policy. So you can see there, I used college-bound child just to delineate. You have the date of birth of the parent. In this case, he is 36 years old, and I'm here in California. So next, we're going to send Action, and see there on the right-hand side, and create a new illustration. So we're going to go to the next slide. And the criteria we're going to input is the class. Now, we recommend you use the preferred non-nicotine. Dewey's had a lot of success with this because these clients are a little on the younger side, and there's a little more concessions, and it shows a little bit better. I'm a believer in under-promising and over-delivering, but in this instance, from our experience, it's a safe bet to use. The specified amount option is minimum. This is the minimum face amount, the minimum insurance death benefit amount we're using, because again, we're concentrating on cash and cash flow on this, not insurance. We don't want to load them up with this ginormous insurance policy. We want them to get some cash out of the deal. So that means we're going to use the death benefit option A, which of course is level. And the solve criteria is cash value. Again, we are focusing on cash and cash value. In the bottom, you got to select strategy. And the one I recommend, there's 2 you can choose from. And from an underwriting perspective, you might want to do 50-50. But the highest interest rate is one we're shooting for. And it's the 1-year point-to-point, uncapped, 0 floor, and an interest rate spread. Okay? So going to the next slide, this is what it looks like. You see their type of illustration. We're solving for cash flow. The specified amount of the death benefit is minimum. And we're doing an A for a level death benefit. And we're going to input the premium, and you typically start at $500 just to give you a preview of coming attractions. In this example, it's $850. We're going to pass in the loan option in a minute and do that later. We're solving for cash value, and we're leaving it alone. I've fiddled with it, and you can put a target age of 121, or you can put a target age of 100. And from what I've seen, it really makes no difference. In other words, at age 121, there's only $5,000 of cash value left, so that they've basically depleted all the cash and are working with death benefit. And then, of course, at the bottom there is your index strategy. And we're working with the bottom one, which is 1 year point to point, uncapped, 0% floor and interest rate spread. Or as you can see, the two above is also the same interest rate. Right now it's at 6.86. American National a little while ago lowered it by half a basis point because of the shenanigans going on in the market. And you want to put 100% of that in there. And so that's the criteria of that. So once we've got that in, remember our goal, it's 11 years till to go to college, and the tuition is $30,789. And we're going to withdraw that for 4 years. And as I mentioned, we're going to start with 500. So what you're going to do in front of the client, once you've got these criteria in, and then we're going to put the loan criteria in a moment, is we're going to input 500 and figure out the policy values to see where we are, if we have to raise or lower the premium for the cash we're after. So going to the next slide, you can see here that we're going to put the loan, and it says here 47, from age 47 for 4 years. 47 is 11 years from now, when the 36-year-old parent will be obviously 11 years older, and they're 47 years old, and we're doing it for 4 years. So you can go to the next slide on this. And so therefore, again, we're going to check the variable loan rate, and we're going to check the added interest of the loan, because we don't want the client to pay any of the interest, and it's internalized. And typically the interest rate, as you'll see, is between 4 and 5%. And if they're earning any excess of that, they're actually earning interest on the money they borrowed, which is one of the wonderful, amazing, beautiful things about life insurance in general, and this is no exception. For loan, we're going to let the program work for us. So we're going to search for, again, I'm going to show you that slide in a moment, and we're going to go from age, and we're going to do from age 47, since that's 11 years from now, and we're going to do it for 4 years. So you go to the next slide. 4 years, which means we're going to do from age 47, as you can see there under loans, to age 51, which is 4 years. And you can see there the variable loan rate now is 4.35%, which is mentionably less than the interest rate they are projected to earn. So therefore, they really are going to earn interest on the money they borrow, and they are not going to have to pull any of the money out that they're going to, quote, loan to themselves, or, quote, withdraw from the policy when the time comes. So now we are going to go to select values at the left-hand side of the screen. And what that does, again, we're going back and forth between policy details and select values for the input of premium to figure out what is the best premium and the maximum amount of loans they're going to pull out for 4 years for the projections they have. So go to the next screen, and what we have there, as a screen print, you see there, in year 12, they're pulling out $30,789 for 4 years. Now, the initial death benefit on this is a little steep. It's $809,833, and it actually peaks at that amount and stays there for 11 years, and then starts to drop, of course, when we're pulling cash out. And when they're done with it, they've pulled all that money out. They don't have to pay it back. It's done. And at this point, they have the option to not pay for this policy anymore. They can do what is called, and you all know, a paid-up life insurance policy, where the death benefit will continue until they are 121 years old. Or when you deliver the policy, because I want to keep things very, very simple at this point from my perspective, and just focus on the college funding, right? They can stop paying, they have paid a policy. So let's say 80 to 85 years old is when they might need their life insurance. Well, how much is that? And again, if you go to the next slide, you can see that initially at age 80, they had a paid-up policy of $85,869. If you wait just a couple of years, they've got over 100,000. At age 82, they've got 109,697, almost 110,000. And as you can see there, and for the life of the policy subsequent until age 121, the death benefit as well as the cash value will be growing. And that means there is no way, given current projections, that this policy is going to run out and not be there when they need it most. So if you look at numbers, the premium they've contributed to is $112,200 in round figures. And if we add the $110,000 just at age 82, for example, of death benefit tax-free, and again, remember, that death benefit is a side fund now, not only for life insurance, but for catastrophic illness and for critical illness and for terminal illness, because all of this is self-completing while they're planning for college and even afterward. And they can pay their house off or make a substantial dent in the payment of their house, right? So if we add the 110,000 to the 123 they've already pulled out for college, that adds up to $323,000 of essentially tax-free benefit that they've pulled out of the $112,200 premium they've put in. So what they've done is they have literally doubled their investment and had peace of mind. And in many instances today, peace of mind really is the new currency, and able to provide for college and their family and their retirement if they want to. So again, once you've got the commitment of the premium, now again, maybe 850 is a little steep for them. Fine. Maybe they can only handle 500. Then there it is. Then we do that, or 300, or whatever. The goal here is they need protection. They need insurance. It's still going to give them more money than anything else they're going to put it in, with no risk and with guarantees. So once you get their commitment, because they've been working with you all the way along, right, in computing the premium, then you want to take the e-application. And again, we've talked about why you do not want to use a paper app. One, it's a very voluminous application on both fronts. And secondly, it takes a while to do. And third, and most importantly, we get underwriting concessions on taking an e-application. Well over half the applications that are taken are approved at a very, very rapid rate, usually within 2 to 5 days. That way you're not going to lose momentum. You don't have to coordinate trying to convince a doctor to squeak out those medical records. You don't have to coordinate, I call it getting the seal broken with an APS and getting a physician statement, as well as a paramedical exam where the seal is broken. They're using PharmX, and I'm sure you all are familiar with it, PHARMX, basically the medications they're currently taking, if any, and MIB, the Medical Insurance Bureau, which has been around for a long time, in underwriting this case, of course, with the questions they've answered from the application. So what you want to do in terms of taking the e-app is initially there's about 11 pages, there's 7 pages in the application that are basically the meat of the application, basically social security number, driver's license number, beneficiaries, the medical questions, who's their doctor, and the like. So once you have all that information, you actually very easily and naturally can, on your own time, fill it out at a later time. And you want to do that because you want to maximize the time in front of the client. And if you are a busy guy and have done or lady and have been busy with that seminar you've done, you have multiple appointments to see, and you want to make sure you see them all in a timely manner because you don't lose momentum in what you've done. I've learned that within 1 to 4 days, you need to sit down with them for them really to remember what you did and what we showed them initially, for them to get the maximum in terms of what we showed them. So time is of the essence on many fronts, and that is why we do the application as well. Then once you deliver the policy, you can say, hey, I've done a little, we can just show you here, I've filled it out on my computer. If you continue to contribute maybe $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a year, you can see that the cash flow increases, and therefore you can pull this money out on a tax-free basis for the rest of your life, and it won't run out. And that way it won't deplete what you have in your qualified plan, because you have to compensate for taxes in that, of course. Or better yet, in many, many instances, the client will be a step ahead of us and say, hey, can this index thing work for my 401k or my IRA? And therefore, you roll that into, of course, an indexed annuity, and we're working with several carriers right now to pick some and select some. And then future contributions will be toward this current policy they have with American National, this IUL. So again, doing that, it's a fabulous way, as you all know, how to backdoor retirement planning and have them be a client for life, because we're now planning for college and their retirement. So if you have any questions on that, or you want me to go over it with you again, where I'm in front of my computer and you're in front of yours, be happy to do that. I know Dewey would be happy to do that as well. There's just a couple of moving parts, as we mentioned here. You want to focus on cash flow, you want to focus on minimum face amount, and then go back and forth on policy values versus the policy details on computing the premium, and let American National do their work in terms of selecting how much they can withdraw and the time needed for college. And I think you'll see it's a very exciting thing. I mean, you hit that, what's the value? What is it going to be? How much do I have to do? How much I contribute? So thanks for your time, guys. And I hope this benefited you, and good luck and good selling, and have a fabulous evening. God bless.